I'm a film critic for ABC for Things Utah on the Critics' Choice Association, and I am so excited to be here to talk to Leslie David Baker from The Office. This is going to be incredible, so let's go ahead and introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, Leslie David Baker. It's the morning rush when I'm getting in. Sweat started pouring. I was like, how is this happening so quickly?
On the back of the golf cart. That's one of my favorite things. Hanging on the back of the golf cart and a cable car.
Leslie, you're my hero. This is so cool. Thank you so much for allowing me to be able to talk with you and for everybody here to celebrate The Office.
And thank you for getting up this early in the morning on a Saturday when you could be doing stuff at home. You know what to do. Don't do chores at home. They're overrated.
Well, I figured we'd get started just by giving people a little bit of background about you, because acting wasn't your first venture that you were in. In fact, you have 2 degrees, and I'll let you go from there.
Okay, I've got a bachelor's in applied psychology from Loyola University of Chicago, and a master's of science in human resources administration from Spurs College of Chicago. Let's see, got out of undergrad, worked with 3 psychiatric hospitals, decided I wanted to go to med school, went there, stayed a hot minute and said, and then came back, started substitute teaching for the Board of Ed, started doing extra work in movies and commercials, finished my master's up, went to work for the City of Chicago for the Office of Cable Communications. Then I switched over to the Office of AIDS Prevention, Programming, and Policy during the AIDS pandemic. It's my 2nd pandemic in years to no matter more. Then after I left the City of Chicago, I moved to LA and started acting full time. So never had to live in my car, thank God, or wait on tables because I don't have the temperament for it. People would get poisoned. Toast and probably with, tea in their coffee. So so there you go.
And well, you started with commercial work while you were getting your master's degree too, right?
I was doing commercial work and extra work. During the time that was in the 80s, we had a lot of film production starting to happen in Chicago, and I was doing that in theater, and started out as a hobby to chase money, and it kept going and going and going, and before I knew it, I was living in Hollywood. I was there for 1 month, and I booked my first job on a TV show in LA. It was a TV show called Maggie. I played an ice cream truck salesman who found a porcupine in his garage and was benevolent enough to take it to the vet. The show didn't last long. But I booked that role after being in LA for 1 month, and then I was doing a bunch of commercials and all that,
Well, that wasn't the only thing that you were booking. You're an extra in some pretty famous sitcoms other than just being the star of The Office. Malcolm in the Middle, that 70s show, Scrubs.
That was the principal.
Just
principal roles. And Judging Amy and, Just Shoot Me and a whole bunch of other shows that some of you are too young to know what is that? Yeah, those were shows where got to work with some really great people. Like Time Daily, got to work with Horace Leachman later on, and even after that with Idris Elba, just a bunch of those.
I'm curious. Idris Elba with 3,000 Years of Longing. Everybody see that? This past year. It was a genie, sweaty, perfect time.
Yeah, he gets an effect on women.
That's right.
I don't get get it. I said, that's because you look at yourself every morning in the mirror and you're doing this. But to other people, it's kind of like Christmas morning. The only thing is you don't spin in a circle and snow at yourself.
I wanted to ask, with this kind of era being like the TikTok age of like fast fame and getting to different areas, what do you think has been impactful for you when you transitioned from education into acting, and how did having a bachelor's degree help you further on?
The master's helped in terms of administration, because anytime you're dealing with contracts and budgets and all the things that you deal with in this industry, that definitely helped. Sometimes people will tell you that they're going to do one thing and they'll throw you a contract that says something completely different. And, the business law and all the accounting and finance, all of that comes into play. So education is definitely important. So then that way people don't feel about you years later getting in trouble with the IRS and being shipped off to payroll prison. So,
do you have any memories that stand out to you while working in the Board of Education that kind of influenced what your work was at Stanley in the office? Because it's a lot of office work.
Having worked in offices and going to meetings and staff meetings and all of that, the characters on The Office, I found later on that those same personality types I had seen everywhere I had ever worked. And you will see them too if you haven't already. For those of you who are younger and your parents haven't prepared you for that, that's what you're going to see the rest of your life. You're going to see all of those characters, and sometimes you're going to be like, why is that person holding the keys to the supply cabinet hostage? They're crazy. And Angela, why are they acting so anal retentive and kind of erratic? That's Dwight. Why is the person sitting over there like they don't want to even be there? Oh, that's his family. And then some days you might look and go like, oh my God, I'm a Stanley. I don't really want to be here in this meeting. So I'm sitting here in the meeting going and doodling and paying, it's like this part of my brain is here, the rest of it is in Hawaii. So it happens.
Wasn't that the great thing about Stanley Hudson, is that he's kind of a curmudgeon when it comes to office workmanship and being friends with people. He wants to get the job done, go home, have a red wine, sit in the bathtub, and enjoy the evening.
And don't we all?
Exactly. He's so relatable still, and I think that's why people love your character so much.
Kindergarten and grade school would have been so much nicer if you had gone home and had a glass of wine and got I went to Catholic school, so I had a reason to drink.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about a few fan theories that I've been looking into on the Reddit sphere and just on Google. I don't know if you've probably heard these theories. I'd like to know your takes on these. So, first one is, there's a theory going around that The Office, Parks and Recreation, and Dexter are all in the same universe.
Well, possibly because they still don't know who the Scranton Strangler is. And so, in that sense, yeah, there probably is a little, crossover there. Parks and Rec and The Office were created by, the same people, Mike Schur, Ray Gaines, and they abandoned us and went and did that other show. But no, we were very supportive of them going to go to the show, and we were at the premiere party of Parks and Rec, and we all knew each other, so it's,
You brought a new layer to this, because what we found out is that in each show there is a Sabre printer in one of the shots. I don't know which episode for each thing, but check them out, and that will be the connective tissue. You said a whole new dimension that I didn't think about.
Kathy Bates and Sabre, yes.
This one's a pretty common one. Toby had talked about The Office needing to get radon test kits because eventually they would pay for it. And the theory is that The Office was suffering from radon poisoning.
We were in Scranton. That's all I can say. It's possible.
This one's specifically for you. Stanley did not survive the heart attack during Stress Relief, which is, by the way, one of my favorite episodes in the entire series. and that the office that he's in after the episode is purgatory for him.
I would say that that's true, but then there was some dancing and cocktails involved, so probably not. But I did survive my heart attack in spite of the fact that, I didn't get leather poisoning from Michael sticking the wallet in my mouth. So I survived that. That was a fun shoot.
Who are some of your favorite people to work alongside as far as like your acting partners, and what were some that you wish they had more scenes with you?
I didn't get to have a bunch of scenes with Kate and Creed, so I didn't get to really do that much with them. Ella Kemper and I didn't really get to do anything substantial. I did get, of course, plenty of time with, Dwight when he was harpooning me with darts and sliding me downstairs and rolling me across the parking lot. Which if anybody in the office to roll you and bubble wrap across a level surface, let them, it's very comfortable. I napped during that part. Sliding down the stairs, they had a dummy, that supposedly was looking like me and looked like a creepy dead person. So they asked me if I wanted it, and I said, I don't want a creepy dead looking dummy in my house. It doesn't go with the decor.
How do you think Stanley would have handled the pandemic?
Definitely would have been consuming more cocktails. I'm still trying to figure out how I handled the pandemic. I sat at home and I gained about 60, 75 pounds. One day the phone rang and the people from Grubhub called and said, Mr. Baker, we haven't heard from you in a few weeks. Are you okay? And I knew that the Department of Health and Aging and the fire department, police, they would do wellness checks, but I had no idea that Grubhub had started doing wellness checks. It was at that point I said, I think I need to cut back and start dieting a little bit because this is getting a little crazy.
Oh yeah, there's one more fan theory. This was a big one. And before the pilot season of The Office, Stanley and Phyllis had an affair.
No, Stanley and Phyllis, no, they didn't know each other. Leslie and Phyllis knew each other because, Phyllis was the casting associate for Allison Jones. And the day I went to the callback, I had gone to the initial audition and they said, you're dressed very nicely because they said you're working in an office. So I actually broke down and ironed a shirt. And they said, when you go to the callback, don't iron that shirt. We want you rumpled and kind of, I went, no problem. So I went to the callback and there were about 50, 75 people sitting in this room, waiting to go in and audition, for the various roles. And I went, I've got another audition across town. I've got plenty of time to go and do that and come back, he said. And then I got in the car, went to the other audition, came back, ran into every bus, hearse, old person driving, you name it. And I came running in at the last minute, and one of the casting people said, Allison Jones says, thank you so much for waiting and being so patient all this time. They said you were in the restroom. And I'm thinking, I've been gone an hour and a half. I think I have some sort of condition, but okay, no problem, yeah. And I got into the callback, and Greg Daniels said, now, I want you to, you're reading with Phyllis, because she's, the casting associate. And, she's got some lines too in this, and she's going to be reading the other roles. When you finish with the script, I want you to, just keep going with the scene, and we'll cut you off. We're done. So I started talking about how, traffic was so horrible, and convention. And they were, the casting people were laughing, and so it seemed to go well. Long story short, I got a call a couple of weeks later, and I talked to Phyllis on the phone, and she said, yeah, they called me, and they wanted, Wardrobe called me for some reason. I don't know why they were calling me. You're in the program, Phyllis. Really? Didn't they tell you? Nobody told me anything. I'm like, oh, wow. So she went from being a casting associate overnight to be the person who sat across from me for 9 9 seasons. And yeah, so yeah, that's how that happened. So we had a good time. We did a lot of shouting. Our computers were finally alive and we shouted for 9 years straight.
That was going to be my next question. What were you doing on the computer during all of this things?
I found my house, I found my car, we found Phyllis' address for one of the Emmys one year, we found her car, we found, shoes, and I had white feet, and I was like, I need some tuxedo shoes, but all of these other ones I'm saying that in the store, they're too narrow, and I went, let's call them specialty shoes. Steve Carell said, I went over here, so I shopping for shoes. Yeah. It's like, but that's what we did. We would, talk to each other, the other cast members. Some of them played, games on their computer. I didn't. I shopped. I had purpose.
With 9 seasons of purpose and shopping.
Yes.
That's pretty incredible. What else is incredible is having not just the people that grew up watching The Office, but this new generation of fans that have been watching, and the way that it's progressed, and the way that not just yourself, but everybody's been kind of going into different avenues, like Angela and Jenna going into Office Ladies podcast, or Kevin. I mean, we just found out that Brian has made chili, right? So chili. When is Stanley's Pretzels coming to a Walmart near us?
I'm in the process actually of working with a baker, and not a baker as a baker relative, but a baker who does it professionally. And we're trying to get something that will taste good and can be on the shelf. It doesn't taste like cardboard. You might not know it. I like my pretzels with caramel and chocolate and pecans and all the good stuff on it. And there's some people who like it plain. You can have that if you want it. But, so I'm in the process of working with someone to try to develop that. So, we'll see what happens.
I hope to see that on the shelf. Where you get to come and have one of the sharks invest in it too.
Oh my God, I'm from sharks. So
do you have a name for it yet?
I have not gotten that far yet.
Maybe somebody up here will have an idea moving
For
forward.
a pretzel, we'll see what happens.
But has it felt different between the different generations of fans and how they approach you and how they interact with you?
Absolutely. As you know by now that people relate to the show whether they're 9 or 90 because those personality types you'll see in kindergarten, high school, at your church, your community center, on your job. If you work in an office, if you work in a factory, you're going to see those personality types. Some people get it, some people don't. In terms of, the pandemic exposed a lot of people to the show who didn't, get a chance to see it before. Something you can sit down and watch with your family. Could you make a show identical to that in this day and age with this political climate and all that? You see he's shaking his head like absolutely not. No, you probably could not. People would probably object and have a fit. Things like, diversity days, somebody would, of course, be offended. I had somebody once say, you said, did I stutter? You're making fun of deaf people. And I'm like, you are stretching really, really far with that. No, did I stutter means, didn't you hear what I said the first time? Okay, well, go sit down. That's what that means. It has nothing to do with deaf people. So, find another crusade,
Let's start having people line up for questions while we do. I've got a Did I Stutter story I actually happened just 2 days ago. And I was talking to my mom actually, and I was telling her, hey, I'm getting to interview Stanley from The Office. Like, this is incredible. She's like, oh, really? She has been an Office fan in the sense that she's had to listen to us watch it our entire lives, right? From behind the car, and portable DVD players, everything, right? So she didn't know all of the catchphrases. So she said, so who's Stanley? So I went, did I stutter? And I did think as well as I could. And she went, no, you didn't. I don't know why you're talking to me like that. That's so,
disrespectful.
I was just trying to apologize through my laughing and tears because I just couldn't believe
Then she just tell her here, watch the program.
Right, center clip.
But the pandemic has allowed a whole audience to watch the show. And a lot of the college students who were told, be on campus in your room with your laptop, but you can't go to class and don't interact with the other students because we're in a pandemic, and they're sitting there like, what the hell am I in college for? That's why you go away to college so that you can go and meet. Yes,
Okay, give your name.
Good morning, my name is Kelly, and I work in a high school office, and there is nothing in that show I relate more to than Pretzel Day. We get Taco Day.
see?
Yes, and I'm wondering what in your life is as exciting as Pretzel Day for you personally?
What is exciting in my life? When the agent calls and tells me I've got a commercial. Those are fun. Good.
Good morning. A little tall, that's okay. My name is Andrew. I have a bunch of office questions, but I'm going to ask a different question. Me and my wife want to know the story behind the song "To Be Simple," how that came to be.
That came about. I was sitting around the pool one day with my assistant, and he was of course younger in his 20s at the time, and he was telling me all about his life as a 20-year-old can tell you. I'm sitting there trying to be older and wiser, and I said something to the effect of that you want life to be simple, you want things to be free, and he is a musician, and he's like, that would make a great song. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's write it up. And he says, and so he wrote something up and all that. And he said, okay, I wrote it. Now let's go to the studio and record it. And you kind of go like, young people, you want me to do something, don't you? I was just going to sit here and just relax. All right, so we went in, we recorded it. Okay, thought that was the end of it. You know what? It would make a great music video. Oh, young person. You want me to do a music video now? Okay, so I said, you can direct it since this is your bright idea. And he, jumped up and we got a crew and students from one of the local universities to come volunteer, and there's craft services and all this, and it turned into a production. And he somehow knew somebody who had a mansion in Beverly Hills, and he was able to get this mansion for $500. So there we were doing this music video, and it became a thing. So it's still online, and it's incredible.
It's great.
It was fun. We had a good time doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I accidentally listened to it 10 times in the car. It just kept going, and I was like, just keep it going, let it go.
I'm Noah. What was your least favorite part of working in the office?
Least favorite part, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and being the first person to go through hair and makeup, usually at 4:30 in the morning, and that would be it, because that's early. And when your body is going like, it's dark when I leave my house, it's dark when I get back, I need rest. But it's fun being on set. Once you get in here, it just go.
Thank you.
Hi, Leslie. I'm Kayla. So, by the way, I think Stanley would have berated Ryan to recording him and making that the Zoom background so Stanley could sleep and have an extra long lunch. That's what I think Stanley would do. Okay, my question is, so I'm a health and PE teacher, and I use a lot of office, well, not a lot of stuff. The fire drill and the CPR, we use that to teach them, okay, what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What do you think about people using office clips as educational tools?
I absolutely agree with it. We've been used by McDonald's, People's Gas and Company in Chicago, several other companies use us for their diversity training, health, staying alive. It actually works. It's safe.
Oh, they do it on the dummies. They're
The
singing.
count is perfect and it syncs up. So if you can use humor to educate people, it's on it. We've all been to school where if somebody was humorous, your favorite teacher had a certain humor that made you pay attention, and then there was the person who was talking in a monotone, and you would sit there going, falling asleep, my God, what's happening? So you need that humor to educate, to make it stick in your head. So.
Yeah, they typically relate the most to Kevin breaking the snack machines, and they're all like, "Oh me, that's so weird."
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Okay. I need to know how Stanley had so much game.
Is that
Game with women.
That was written into the script, but in real life, he was on his second wife, and he had a girlfriend who had a bunch of dogs, and then he flirted with some women in a bar a couple of times. So he was a busy kind of guy sometimes, but gave him something to live for. But in real life, what I would do in high school was whenever I would go to a football game, I would bring a blanket and sit on the blanket to heat up the blanket. And then when the girls from the all-girls school would come, then you wait till it would get good and cold because they'd have on little coats and jackets that were not warm enough. And then when they were sitting near you and you see that they were cold, then you whip out the blanket. And then people are always so grateful to sit under the blanket, and then you go like, oh, it's not under the blanket, but you sit here, you sit here, there's enough blanket for all. So, I don't know about game, but it worked then.
Art imitates life.
You sit there going like, I'm gonna try this. Living in Utah, it gets cold, it'll work.
People started typing in their notes app, I saw it.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rob. My wife and I are huge fans, and we listen to the Office Leagues podcast, and they always talk about who wrote what episode, and I just wanted to know who was your favorite writer for your character?
My favorite writers probably would be Mindy Kaling and BJ. They would, write for my character quite well, quite effectively. When I would get to yell at BJ, but that was my rant. Mindy said, I don't know exactly how it would go, just we're gonna roll the camera and just let you play with some stuff, and I went, okay. And that's how the rant with BJ came into being. So the two of them.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vince, and I was wondering what it's like to know that someone somewhere in the world is watching you on their phone or TV, at any given moment.
It feels really good. It really does. I think during the height of the pandemic, I counted one day, and the show was on 53 times one day. And now we average, I think, one day I counted it was 14 times. So the show is literally on every single day, 7 days a week, and it's taken on a life of its own. I think partially, because people have been at home more for the past 2 years than they ever have in the history of, mankind, and people were clamoring for something that would make them laugh and that they could relate to. I appreciate the fact that what we do has value. I've had people come up to me and say, I was having, surgery, or I had cancer, I was thrown up in a bucket during chemo, and the family was sitting around worried, but then when the office came home, and it helped, us get through that period. Or we were on our way back from the cemetery, and somebody said that that's what she said, joke in the car. And, it helped lighten it. So you realize that it's not just a TV show that makes people laugh. It helps heal, educate, inform, challenge, transform people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Violet, and I was just wondering what was your absolute favorite episode of the film?
My absolute favorite episode, number one would be when they, blew the little blow dart at me and made me go to a meeting. And I got to do my little breakfast and Tiffany's pratfall on my face. I didn't actually fall on my face. You turn your head right before you get to that. Yolanda Beach. And the other was when they flooded the whole office. That time, we had to go through hair and makeup about 2 or 3 times that day. But just the fact that the sprinklers went off and everybody, after having gone through hours of hair and makeup, we were all just drenched, soaked. It was fun.
Thank you.
Hi, Leslie, I'm Anthony. I know you didn't say this, so I want to ask you, do you like the tangy zip of Miracle Whip?
I do like the zany taste of Miracle Whip. Yes.
Good to know.
Hi, I'm Tim. As the parent of 3 daughters myself, I'd like to see you elaborate on your rant to Ryan when you were dressing him down and just take your daughter to work day. Can you elaborate on that? Where did that inspiration come from, that rant? Because it both inspires me and terrifies me at the same time.
I was inspired, just having grown up and seeing people talk to their children and how, adults will sometimes say things to kids. And I said, what could I do to communicate to him how, displeased I am with it. And Mindy didn't know what I was going to do, BJ didn't know what I was going to do. And, we had to, shoot it a few times to get the rhythmicality of it, but it had to have a sing-song, type of thing. The first time we did the very first take of it, Mindy fell to her knees and laughed. BJ slid down the wall and laughed, and we all just cracked up. And she said, okay, that's it. That's what we want. Now let's tighten it up so that we can fit it into the 21.5-minute time frame. So we did that, and it became kind of funny.
You gotta find a following, a cult following.
Hello, my name is Richard, and I just wanted to say, I noticed that Stanley said his favorite game was called Work Hard So His Kids Can Go to College, right? And I was like, do you have any personal philosophies or codes that you follow that are similar to that or just interesting to you?
In terms of work hard, I don't know necessarily in real life. Work hard, work smart, so you don't have to work as hard. I know plenty of people who've worked hard and all they have to show for it is exhaustion. But you work smart, you work in your own best interests. You try to treat it fairly. Hopefully they'll treat you fairly. Have a contingency plan. I know I've talked to a lot of students and they go, well, I want to be an actor and that's all I want to do and that's all I want to focus on. And I'm like, have a plan B, C, and D because you don't know when you might make it. I didn't move to Hollywood until I was 40. So, you don't want to sit up and live in your parents' basement sleeping on a let-out couch until you're 40 years old. Not that I did, but I know people who did, who are doing that, waiting for their break. And I'm like, no, you can't wait to, live your life. You can't put your life on hold. So, and don't be afraid to take a risk, try something new, try something different. I remember when I moved to LA, my father said, well, you can always move back to Chicago if you want. It's in the business. It's not like it's going to float away. So go try it, see what what works. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah. My question for you is, are you still in contact or close to anyone from the cast office?
I see all of them folks. And, we see each other at Comic-Cons, sometimes baseball games. Kate and I are speaking at some university in January, I believe. We run into each other all the time, award shows, you name it.
Okay, thank you.
With the show being filmed primarily in California, have you ever physically been in Scranton, Pennsylvania?
I have been to Scranton only one time. The other cast members got a chance to go back the second time after the series wrapped. But I was filming the project, so I didn't make the second trip. The first trip we had, there was a convention, an office convention, and we got a chance to go. It was the University of Scranton, and the Jesuits did throw a really good party, by the way. And the bars were open and the restaurants, and they had a dinner for us, and they had a parade for us, and the whole 9 yards, and a big convention something locomotive. Big black steam engine. It was great. I felt like I was going back in time. Architecture in Scranton is absolutely some of the most beautiful I've ever seen in the world. People are extremely friendly. When you're there during the change of seasons, or the leaves start turning, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and so much of the awesomeness of The Office are the talking heads, and you're in the background of most of them. And I've heard cast members joke about this and podcasters joke about it, but I wanted to hear from you. What were the pros and cons of being in the background of so much of the talking heads?
The pros, where my desk was situated, I had no idea that I would be sitting in that spot and they would be choosing to do the talking heads through that window. The good thing about it is my computer worked. I was steps away from the bathroom. I would go through the door into the fake bathroom. Through the back door of that was the real bathroom. So I've never been closer on the job to the bathroom in life, which was good because I was drinking coffee and staying awake and all that. Another pro is that you knew Stanley probably before you knew anybody else because you were staring at me every single time I was there. It was kind of like, this landmark sitting behind people. And I probably had more camera time than anybody in the show.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
We're all aware of the pranks that Jim played on Dwight. I was wondering if the cast members ever played pranks on each other.
I didn't.
Oh, we're all aware of the pranks that Jim played on Dwight. But I was wondering if the cast members ever played pranks on each other.
No, we didn't have. There was so much going on in the script with them playing pranks on each other. We really didn't play pranks on each other. We weren't that kind of cast. Nobody was putting cellophane on toilets or anything like that.
Did you have anyone that you broke character with most when you were interacting?
Oh my gosh, I learned do not look Steve Carell in the eye. He is the Medusa of comedy. If you look him in the eye, you'll crack up. So I would learn to look here, look at his ear, don't look him in the eye because he'll get you. That was, in terms of who would break character and just crack up laughing, Mindy would laugh a lot. She started out, as you know, as one of the writers in Royalty, when she started out primarily as a writer. And when she first started coming to set, she would just bust up. She said, oh my gosh, this is funny. So, yes.
Hello, I'm the guy version, Kelly. It's nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I have a question concerning Kevin's chili incident. How long did it last on the carpet before they cleaned it up?
What they did was they had cut a piece of carpet to stay outside of the frame of the camera. So when they were able to do takes, I think they only did a couple of takes, and they were able to, the chili splashed on that, and then they were able to pull that chunk of carpet out, and then film another, and then spill it, that's how you do that. So the real carpet itself, didn't get it, but the pieces that were there that matched the real carpet.
Well, I just know how hard it is to get chili smell out of your car, so that's why I'm concerned.
Hold on, this sounds like there's a story here. We need to, what?
My sweet mother, there she is. We were going to a family function, and we're from Idaho, and we don't believe in pavement, I guess. And we're bouncing down the road, and the lid may or may not have made it out of the house. Well, we found the chili, and we finally just had to sell the car.
Well, there are worse things your car can smell like inside the chili.
Right.
You know what chitlins are, right? So that's pig intestine. So chili is not bad, But we did a lot on the show with food. We did the chili, we did peppermint, chocolate chip ice cream, we did meatballs. We were a food kind of cast. Yes.
Hi, I'm Brandon. So as far as I remember, every time we have a meeting in the office,
Stanley's doing some kind of crossword puzzle or something. Do you ever find yourself doing that in your spare time, or like when you're waiting for something?
No, that came about because when we first started doing the show, Greg Daniels said, I want you all to formulate, little idiosyncrasies as your characters would do. And they had all this stuff on set, all these little books and cups, just all kinds of junk that they got from the prop warehouse. And he said, okay, we're going to go into our first conference room meeting. Bring in whatever props you feel your character would use. And I was like, my character really doesn't want to be in a meeting. He wouldn't like meetings. How can he show that he is, at the meeting but not of the meeting? And I pulled some drawers over on this desk I had, and I found this old crossword puzzle book, and it was kind of gnarly looking. And I grabbed a pencil, and I grabbed that crossword puzzle book. Other people, they would grab legal pads and that type of thing. So I got the crossword puzzle book, and I had some lines that I was supposed to deliver to, Steve Carell, Michael Scott. And, I said, he said to play around with it. I said, well, instead of looking at, Steve Carell when I deliver the line, what if I just deliver the lines without even looking at him? And that shows I really don't want to be here. And I did it, and, he would cut. I love it. That's what I want to see. That communicated perfectly. That, you don't want to be here. Oh, she threw you out. She's you, baby. She's going to tell you about this when she gets older. I was lying, poor baby. She's like, I want to hear things. So, yes, thank you.
Hello, I'm Madison. I was wondering, how long did it take to get through episodes, considering how many times people would break character?
Usually an episode would take us 5 days. We worked usually a 5-day work week. We would all just about be in the we'll call it the pit. Because when the camera would spin around, you never knew whose desk you might see, so you had to have people there. I ended up being there more than just about anybody. Phyllis was there a lot too, because when it would spin around, since we were sitting in the middle of the office, you expected to see us there. So usually a 12 to 14-hour day, 5 days a week. So. But it didn't feel like it because, when you're doing something you enjoy, I've been on jobs where I've been there, 2 hours in, I'm like, I want to kill myself. But with this, you can come to like, I've been here 10 hours already. Wow. So, thank you.
So the first episode of The Office I ever watched was Pretzel Day, and I'm curious if you are as passionate about pretzels in real life as you are in The Office.
I am not as passionate about pretzels as I am about chocolate. Chocolate.
What are Leslie's hobbies?
I get that question quite a lot, and it's so strange when I started out with acting and commercials and all that as my hobby. So when your hobby becomes your way of life and what you do for a living, then you're like, hobbies, I like to travel. I can. Which odd thing about that is when you have the time, you don't have the money, and when you have the money, you don't have the time. So, and then when I had both the time and the money, then we had a pandemic. It's like, come on, universe, and eventually I'll get back to Europe and hang out. You say 5. Oh, you're keeping time. Oh, that's soon. Oh, okay.
All right, then real quick, let's go ahead and do this. These will be your last groups, and Mark, we're going to do some office trivia. If you get one right, you're going to get a Funko Pop delivered to you by Leslie. So, let's start here. Give us your name.
I'm Pat. Pat. Like Pat.
Right, nice to meet you. So, the trivia question is, who stole all of Michael's blue jeans when he was a kid? Anyone in the line? Yeah, I think she's. Come on up. This is a limited edition Funko Pop, and one that I think is pretty incredible. And make sure to show everybody once you get it.
You've been meatballed.
We have to do it. Yeah, it's cooked, but I hope it's understood. You don't eat it, it's just that throw those out. And also, by the way, this is the actual Funko Pop that goes along with it. So there you go. All right, this will be an easy one. How did Michael burn his foot?
That would be a George Foreman grill.
George Foreman grill, come get it.
It's an iPhone.
It's an Android.
We're gonna limit to you three, we'll have questions, and we got two more, so we'll just give them out to the first two of these, okay? So go ahead, name and what's your question?
My name is Lloyd. I'm one of those young people who want to see you do something. What do you think about the cast reunion, like a movie that they're working on If?
Cast reunion or something of that nature. You will have to get on the computer and say, "Dear NBC executives, get up off of your lazy keisters and we want more." Episode or Easter episode, or let them know.
Yeah, my name is Peter. One of my favorite episodes is the basketball episode with Air Stadium. So I was wondering, how do you fare on the basketball court in real life?
I stay away from basketball courts. That came about, I knew a guy in high school and he actually could play, but he thought he was so cool and he had these really, really long arms. He was a very lanky guy and he would always throw his arm out like this when he played. He looked like one of those, a cartoon character when he played. It doesn't kind of look like a giraffe. So when they wanted us to do that episode, I said, we want to get this secret weapon, and so he's black, he can play basketball. I'm going to show somebody you really are inept with basketball. And I thought, so if I throw this arm back here and I do this, and I can tell Greg or see what I was going to do. So when I did it again, Greg was like, oh yeah, that's the right level of crazy we need.
Hi, my name is Zach. I was just curious, since we've seen John Krasinski make his way into action with the show and Chris Pratt do the same kind of thing, are we ever going to get a Leslie David Baker action movie?
Yes, probably will. I mean, the last thing I came close to action is when I did movie with Melissa McCarthy, and I haven't heard of it.
I actually like that one.
You got to see me run around with some puppets, scary little puppets on a pig, and it's a whole room full of them. They look like they were kind of like, it was fun.
Underrated comedy. It's really so good. You've been doing voice work too.
I've been doing Coming Up Pals, Bugs, Tom and Jerry, I'm haunting your children.
Well, Leslie, thank you so much. Everybody, give a great